La mujer tiene que transmitirlo, tiene que despertarle esa parte femenina al varón. Y el varón,
The woman has to awake the feminine part in the male, and the male has to awake the masculine part in the woman. What I'm going to say is extremely important. In a couple's relationship, a woman must become a goddess for her husband, and a man a god for his wife.
pero es solo para él y solo para ella. Si ella le va a ir a contar a la vecina que tiene
However, this kind of interaction is only for him and for her, because if she goes and tells her neighbor that she has a God at home, the neighbor is going to request his blessing. This means that no limitation should exist within a couple's intimacy. So, if we have been raised in a society in which sex is viewed as something dark, as something restricted, or as something sinful, the couple has to work through these dysfunctional patterns in order to get rid of these limitations. The correct handling of this sexual energy is going to develop a healthy intimacy, and we do not have any idea of the transmutation and transcendence that this energy has. For this reason, in the development of the consciousness, we have to take absolutely all the aspects into consideration. These energy centers that we have mentioned before are located in the physical body of each individual. The human body has an incredible capacity to again reach equilibrium when we have harmed this vehicle. In tomorrow's workshop, there is a section designed to cover the topic of nutrition, and we shall see the transcendence that our nutritional intake has. When we go to a movie theater and eat a small bag of popcorn, we are consuming 700 times more the sodium required by our organism. We will see the enormous amount of sugar that we consume, and we likewise shall see how a poor diet blocks our intestines, especially the colon. And as a result, we develop a severe constipation. For example, an individual who eats watermelon all day long is going to be amazed of the enormous amount of urine that he is going to eliminate. In order to do this, one first washes the skin of the watermelon and then places it in the juice extractor. The watermelon contains a great deal of silicea and contains many minerals and vitamins. You will see how much flexibility you will recover just by eating only watermelon for the whole day. When the individual is able to eliminate 3 times per day, the stomach decreases in size, and we shall see how the colon responds differently, and our mental attitude will also be different. What we are going to cover now is how our physical activity and our physical body is related to the universe and the cosmos. Everything in the universe is interrelated. Whatever is generated in a particular place has a repercussion in the whole universe and the cosmos. For this reason, it is said that each of us arrive at the right place and at the right time, because we have been chosen, and we also have chosen where we are going to be at a particular place at a particular time. We recommend to the female yoga practitioners that they do not get pregnant without previously cleaning their uterus. If a woman has used drugs or narcotics, or if she has suffered from severe diseases or cysts or myomas, it is important that she first cleans her uterus before getting pregnant. In addition, it is important that she does not choose a drinker nor a drug addict as a mate, because it has been proven that when a child is conceived, if the individual is drunk or drugged, the child inherits these negative behaviors, and then there is an enormous tendency to repeat the dysfunctional patterns of the parents. If we are attempting to improve the quality of the human race, we have to practice prevention. When a woman's uterus is clean and is working in correspondence and harmony with nature, and the semen is too, and if the woman during pregnancy had a good diet, together with a good amount of physical exercise, we will see that the woman will not experience morning sickness nor water retention, and the woman should be able to give birth without the need of any surgical intervention. Normally, a liter or a liter and a half of mucus is extracted from a newborn. In addition, when the newborn comes out of the mother's womb, he has a layer of fat over his skin. However, when a mother has followed a correct diet during the 9 months of her pregnancy and she has lived in harmony, the newborn does not have any mucus and labor pains are prevented. The newborn can swim before he is able to walk because he was in a liquid environment for 9 months. An individual who is going to place the newborn in the water for him to swim must have absolute trust that the baby is going to swim, because the baby is like a sponge and he's able to sense the fear of the people around him. When the individual who is placing the baby in the water is able to transmit that trust, the baby then is able to swim perfectly. We can see in this slide the images of some babies swimming. When the newborn is growing, he will have a complete harmonious relationship with nature. We should see how different the development of the newborn is. From the time of conception of an individual up to when he is 7 years old, the individual grasps and absorbs everything that he lives and experiences in his environment. And this is going to reflect later on when the individual is between the ages of 21 and 28 years old. Everything moves in septenary cycles. What we live and experience from the time of conception up to the age of 7 is going to repeat itself again from the age of 21 up until the age of 28. What we live and experience from the age of 7 up until the age of 14 is going to repeat itself again from the age of 28 up until the age of 35. Everything moves in septenary cycles. Just as the 7 musical notes have a higher musical octave, the 7 primary colors likewise have a higher color spectrum. When we infuse a baby with enough trust and confidence, we are transmitting to him security. The baby is going to be able to remember what he was in the mother's womb, and he is very easily going to float and swim. This is going to be very beneficial in the development of a healthy behavior. If the child from the time he is a newborn up to the age of 7 is yelled at, or we correct him on everything that he does, or if we lock him up because we want him to behave like an adult, we should see that during his adolescence or when he becomes an adult, in spite of the fact of him being an adult, he is going to have a series of issues that he is unable to resolve because he did not receive the necessary dosage of security, and he did not receive the necessary dosage of affection. When speaking of the development of the individual's consciousness, if we are able to raise an individual sufficiently and in a healthy way, we are going to save this individual an enormous amount of time developing his consciousness. Because he does not have to go through a rehabilitation center, he is not going to need to enter prison or to go through Alcoholics Anonymous, nor is he going to have to go through Neurotic Anonymous. Therefore, all these healthy preparations of an individual when he's growing up are going to allow our society to have leaders who truly will have a harmonious and balanced mentality. For this, there is no exception. We cannot deceive nature. In other words, we cannot deceive nature. Nature is going to request from us our credentials, and these have to be original. You have to carry yourself with integrity, and you have to carry yourself without deceptions. You may appear very beautiful externally, but if I remove your makeup and if I remove all your external shields, then we can see who you really are. Our external beauty has to correspond to our internal beauty. For this, it is also necessary that a couple prepare themselves before conceiving a child in order to provide to this newborn the most favorable living environment and the best frequencies. It is important for you to understand how we all can work together to change the environment. If we want to eliminate the external violence from the environment, we need to begin to eliminate this violence within our homes. In order for our homes to function correctly, we also have to do it within ourselves. If we believe that our happiness is based upon material possessions and acquiring things, we are going to become aware how, in the same way that these material possessions belong to us, we likewise belong to these material possessions. This is extremely important since each of us constructs the size of our prison with our belief system, and as the song says, although the cage is made out of gold, it continues to be a prison. So we can have a great amount of money and we can build a luxury prison with our money, and who knows how long it's going to take to get out of this imprisonment. In tomorrow's workshop, we are going to present information regarding certain psychological dynamics in which the individual learns how to eliminate certain dysfunctional patterns. So in this way, he can see things differently. These dysfunctional patterns that the individual begins to eliminate are going to serve him as initiative so he can make the necessary changes. The individual has to be willing to change. In one section of the workshop, we are going to talk about how there's people that say if they do not drink coffee, they are going to have a headache all day long. Others say that if they do not smoke, they cannot go to the restroom. There are other individuals that cannot go to the restroom without reading, and they practically need a library in the restroom. I myself have known individuals who cannot eliminate for 25 days, or others that go away on vacations and they cannot eliminate on a different restroom other than the one they are accustomed to use at home. In this manner, each of us with our dysfunctional patterns creates our own prison, and each individual has to have the courage to open the door of his or her prison. When we decide to be free, when the emotional prisons that we have created for ourselves, our work to accomplish this task has to be more intense. For this reason, it is fundamental that the individual develops his will, and nobody can do it for you. But you have to do the work for yourself. In one part of the workshop, we will speak about meditation techniques. Through the meditation techniques, the individual will develop his own personal paths to develop the ability to communicate with himself. Nobody can enter the interior of your being. In our internal being, there can be no thief. In our internal being, or whatever name we choose to call it, the divine essence is present, and nobody can eliminate this divine presence. From the evolution's point of view, an individual cannot be condemned for all eternity, regardless to how many mistakes he has committed. It is spiritual terrorism to condemn an individual for all eternity. Even the worst transgression that an individual has committed can be forgiven, so he can return again to his point of equilibrium. Obviously, you have to pay your debts to nature, and all of us have the right to pay our debts. But sooner or later, the individual has to flourish through the law of evolution. Because according to the great law of evolution, nobody can remain stuck in the same place, since nature itself propels you forward. You already grieved too much. You already cried too much. Now, You no longer have to cry. So, what do you do if you do not have to cry anymore?
Ya no tienes que llorar. ¿Y entonces qué hago si no lloro?